Dr. Pachauri, you are not only the chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, but also the Director-General of a prestigious the Energy and Resources Institute, which is now organizing its 15th Delhi Sustainable Development Summit. As far as I understand, this is the highest level that has ever taken place. So what do you think is the reason behind that?
Well, I think there are lots of reasons why this summit becomes more significant each year and is able to attract a large number of leaders from all over the world. And this year in particular is special simply because we have several important events and developments taking place during the year. The first, of course, is the Sustainable Development Goals, which hopefully will be agreed on by the UN General Assembly and then accepted by the global community. And the second reason, of course, is the Paris Conference of the Parties, when it's expected that we'll have a new agreement on climate change, which hopefully will help us meet the objectives that the global community has established of keeping temperature increase below 2 degrees Celsius by the end of this century. So I think these are two important reasons, but may I also say that the fact that we get such a high level of participation over here is also reflective of the fact that the world now realizes that we have to move towards a sustainable path of development. And what we've been pursuing is clearly not sustainable, and therefore we can't continue with business as usual.
So you're right. The year 2015 is a very historical year to celebrate what happened in the past, to refresh the memories of what happened, for example, the establishment of the United Nations, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, to take two cases, and now we're looking forward. So do you believe that the international community has the ability and the determination to look forward and to take the steps which you have described?
I really think that the international community has the capability, the capacity, and certainly the power to take the kind of action that is required. Of course, it's not going to be easy, because changing from the sort of path that we are on is not going to be a simple or an easy solution. But I think if we decide to move in the right direction, we certainly have the wherewithal, we have the means by which we can do that. So I'm reasonably confident that with the level of awareness that exists today on the scientific realities about climate change, the global community is now probably ready to move in the right direction and at the requisite speed.
In other words, what we will have is Kyoto Protocol 2, which does not make a distinction between the industrialized and the developing economies, but which will be a universal commitment, of course, common and differentiated responsibility, as it is called. And there are all signs. For example, China has agreed to certain basics, India has agreed to certain basics. But when it comes to practice, will there be any monitoring instrument?
I really don't know how this agreement is going to evolve, but even if there is no instrument by which officially everything is monitored, I suppose living in an age when information flows so rapidly and so freely across the globe, anything that countries do and don't do will get known very fast. And I think if the world is serious about sticking to its own target of maintaining temperature increase below 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century, then clearly there should be enough determination on the part of countries and their governments to take the right kinds of steps to make that happen. So my feeling is, of course, it depends on how the mechanics of this agreement evolve, But my feeling is that whatever is agreed on in terms of the INDCs will be known all over the world, and any country that is seen not to be doing enough will certainly not enhance its reputation and its standing in the global community by not doing enough.
Which means that organizations like yours, TERI, or others which can be described as non-governmental organizations, they will have an important role to play.
We certainly feel that we have a moral responsibility, and certainly as far as TERI is concerned, our charter requires us to look at issues of this nature, and we certainly will do our best to ensure that we perform the role of evaluating, analyzing, and monitoring the kinds of developments that take place under the new agreement, which I hope will be signed in Paris. So it's also important that the media and organizations that are involved in disseminating information play their part in making sure that whatever is the reality is assessed and reported on faithfully across the globe, because all of that will help in moving human society in the right direction.
Well, thanks very much for your time.